Self-correction, recognizing when you're saying that to yourself, asking yourself if it's even true, recognizing that it's your BS program that you've been
Yeah.
running on, self-correct it. Now,
Mhm.
self-correcting doesn't mean I'm going to go, no, I'm not stupid. I'm the smartest person on the planet. Because your
Yeah.
unconscious mind is not really going to believe that because it's like just too much.
Yeah.
So I changed that with, I'm plenty smart enough.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
still alive, for heaven's sakes. I've
yeah.
kept
Look how
myself
far I've
alive.
made it.
So what
Stupid
you
people
can
don't
then
make it this
do,
far.
yeah, totally.
So
And
it's
you can
turning that
start to
around.
look for evidence
Yeah.
that your new story is the truth.
Right. And so your news story was I'm smart enough. Look at where I am.
Smart
So
enough.
that's exactly looking for the evidence. So it's almost like I call it bridging in my book, where we're bridging from a negative to a positive. So it's recognizing the awareness and then telling yourself something that your unconscious mind will believe. Like you're not going to say I'm a millionaire because it's too much of a gap. But yeah, I'm smart enough. Look at where I am. Wow. Look at how much I've created in my life. I am smart enough. I'm smart enough. And then before you know it, that's what you're seeing.
Yep. And I'm getting smarter because I keep learning new things and evolving
Exactly.
and I'm acquiring, life experience. So I'm becoming wiser.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. You are listening to Separation to Oneness, and I welcome you. I'm Niki Hughes, and we will delve into the profound subjects of life, love, and spirituality. We are going to investigate and reveal how to live from that limitless reservoir of happiness, care, and resilience. And then once there, how we can allow ourselves to move into the space of bliss, the connection to everything. And that's what I call oneness. And so to find out more about my work, please visit my website. I am at elementalbalance.ca. I really hope you enjoy this episode, and if you feel it's valuable, I ask that you would kindly share it with someone who's important to you. Well, welcome everyone to this month's podcast, which is all about getting back to yourself, into your own state of oneness, your self bliss. I want to thank you all for being here and for listening today. And so if you're following me on Spotify or a podcast platform, you can subscribe. Or if you follow me on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe my channel so you don't ever miss an episode or any of the other empowering content I'm publishing. And of course, if you enjoy my podcast, please share them with someone important to you. So, are you interested and invested in developing yourself to be the very best that you can be? Have you felt stuck? Maybe don't know which way to go? Do you want to feel more purposeful, connected to yourself, and take charge of your life? So, today's podcast is going to be like an open mic podcast with my special guest, Erin Birch, where we're going to talk about all of this and probably a lot more, from the grounded to the spiritual, to tap into the potential of who you are and what you can become. So, we're going to talk about mindset, hypnosis, self development, awakening to yourself, and how you can access these things and heal what needs to be healed. And we will see where else we go. And hopefully, we'll have some tips and tools for you too. I love to give you guys tips and tools. So, I'm really excited to have this beautiful lady join me today for this topic. So, just a little bit about Erin. She's a very accomplished woman who is busy out in the world creating change on lots of different levels. Erin is an online business and mind transformation coach. She's working with entrepreneurs. So she specializes in attraction marketing, content creation, audience and relationship building, and conversations that lead to sales. That sounds really great. Erin uses a lot of different modalities to help her clients remove limiting beliefs, rewire their minds for success. She is certified in hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming, somatic work, change work, timeline therapy, and many, many, many other techniques to help her clients become high performing entrepreneurs and incredibly happy, joyful souls who want the most out of life. And isn't that just the most important thing? So, welcome, Erin.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here, Nikki. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Now, I met you very recently at the Hypnothoughts conference in Las Vegas. What a beautiful surprise the universe provided when I bumped into you and learned that you live about 15 kilometers from me as the crow flies. So it's a cross a little body of water, so it's a little bit farther by car, but not much. So what a beautiful surprise that was, especially because we kept bumping into each other. So we know there's some alignments here. And it was a really fun conference. So what did you think of the Hypnothoughts conference?
That was my first time going this
Was
year.
it? Okay.
Yes, it was. So I had absolutely no idea well, I did have an idea because I was with a friend there who had been the previous year.
Right.
But I thought it was great. If I could go back into time
Hmm.
and knowing more about each speaker and what they would talk about and all that kind of thing, I
Yeah.
may have maybe chosen different speakers than I had. Some of them were great. Some, I didn't get as much from. So if I had to go back,
Mhm.
if I was able to go back in time, which of course we can't, I would have I would have selected a little bit differently, but overall it was a fantastic
Yeah.
conference. I had a
Yeah.
great time.
The first time I went a number of years ago, it was like drinking from a fire hose. So many things. And so the first time I think is just to get a sense of what it's all about. And then the next time you go, you can really start making your choices about what you need, which is kind of fun, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's
Exactly.
nice to meet people too that are in the same field, that are doing the same thing. All of us change workers out there trying to help people. And so, you're a hypnotist and you're a whole bunch of other things too. So, but what inspired you to do the work you do? How did you get to this place where you're doing all these wonderful things out in the world?
I've been obsessed with the human mind since I was about 8 years old.
Okay.
I was driving with my dad, and CBC radio was actually playing a recording of Jim Jones, cult leader,
Oh,
giving his following the poison Kool-Aid. That's where the term, you know,
yeah.
drink the
Drink the
Kool-Aid
Kool-Aid.
comes
Yeah.
from.
Terrible.
So that was really my first introduction into psychology and the human mind and
Hmm.
programming.
Yeah, the
So I
programming.
asked my dad, like, what the heck is going on? And he told me, he explained what was happening. And I'm like, how could this even happen? I was
Hmm.
horrified, but yet fascinated when he told me that they were brainwashed. This is why they were in his cult, is because they were brainwashed. I'm like,
Right.
what the heck are you talking about? So he talked about programming and brainwashing and that kind of thing. And I became fascinated that we humans could be brainwashed or programmed so easily.
Hmm.
So I kind of fell into, I wanted to, when I was 12, go down and church, hang out downtown Vancouver with the Church of Scientology. And my parents said, like heck, you're doing that. So I fell into the world of just studying all things cults, the minds of serial killers, all kinds of things, anything to do with the
Thanks.
human mind.
Yeah.
And then I woke up on my 44th birthday. I'm skipping way over into time here.
Yeah.
44th birthday when I had what I call my midlife realization.
Hmm.
It happens to everyone. This is
It
when you
does.
realize that you're middle aged. So I did the math and, I realized if I was going to live until I was 88, that as I was 44, this was the midpoint of my life. My life was half over, it was half lived. So when this happens to people, you ask yourself all kinds of questions. You cannot help it. Am I happy? Am I fulfilled? Am I living my purpose?
Hmm.
Am I living a passionate life? Is there enough fun and adventure in my life? Am I still in love with my partner? All kinds of questions.
Yeah.
And this is where I decided to make a lot of changes in my life because I had also come to the realization that only I was responsible for my happiness.
Ah, it's a great realization.
Mhm. So this is when I decided I want more happiness and joy in my life.
Hmm.
So I took charge that very day and I made all kinds of changes that I probably should have made years and years before, but due to my story,
Yeah. Your
I had,
programming.
yeah, became a slave to that. So I made all kinds of changes in my life and I actually ended up I needed a way to make more money because I didn't want to take any money from my soon to be ex-husband.
Ah, that was one of the changes you made then.
Uh-huh. Yes, it was. So I
Hmm.
became single. It changed everything in my life. I kept my kids.
Hmm.
Everything else changed. So when I had the next realization that I would need more income
Right.
in order to support myself, I began to look for a way to supplement my income. And I was on social media, I was on Facebook one day and kind of came across an opportunity, a way to start making extra money online.
Mhm.
And the beautiful thing that came from that is I made no money.
Oh.
I realized I didn't have a clue how to build an online business,
Yeah,
and
it's
that
very
was a
different.
blessing
Mhm.
because I had sunk like 6 grand into my business and had no return on it, which was a blessing because I realized that I didn't know what I was doing. So
Mhm.
I embarked on learning attraction marketing, how to build an online business, all of that good stuff, and fell in love with marketing.
Hmm.
And I started to do very, very well in my online business with marketing, affiliate marketing, network marketing, and such. And then I began to have people come to me and ask to pay me to show them what I was doing, how I was building a business, how I was making money online. And actually, I'm going to skip back
Okay.
just a tiny bit because when I did start my online business, I realized that I was not the person who could be successful in growing my own business.
Right.
I realized there were pieces missing in me that would allow me to create the success that I desired. That I would have to become the person who could do it,
Mhm.
skills wise, but also mindset wise.
Right.
So I started doing a whole lot of work on myself,
Mhm.
rewiring my own thinking, getting rid of the story that had held me back my entire life. So I did so much work on myself. And then I started having the success in my business. And then people started to come to me asking to pay me to teach them how to make money online. And I started working with people and teaching them exactly what to do, but then they wouldn't do it.
Oh,
Here's
no.
the plan. Here's what to do. Why are you not doing it? Oh, because of the stuff going on up here.
Mhm.
So then I realized I had to do that for myself, become the person who would take action. So it became clear to me that I would need to be able to help my clients become the person who could take action as well. So I could give them, the strategy, what to do to grow the business, but I also needed to be able to help them with the mindset. So
Right.
that's when I really started diving into how to help other people with their mindset.
So it's almost like you came full circle back to that programming you were listening to at 8, recognizing like, "Ooh, it's funny how it always comes back to something that happened in our childhood." There's always these clues, isn't there? Yeah, always
Very
clues.
much. And
Mhm.
I'd forgotten about that what happened when I was 8
Right.
until I started diving into, human nature, psychology, how
Mhm.
our minds work, what makes us, do the things that we do.
Yeah.
And then I went, exactly. I had the memory pop into my mind of all the way back then.
Mhm.
And it wasn't so new. Like the whole psychology bit, how our minds work, wasn't actually brand new to me. It had been something that I had actually fallen in love with studying since that day when I was 8.
Yeah. Yeah, it all comes back. You started
Really
doing what you're
does.
meant to do in your life and it just percolates, then, your the 3D life kicks in and kind of parks it for a while. And then it comes back up again at some point in your life. Usually it's midlife when things kind of calm down a bit with family, raising kids, and all that other stuff. Or you have a spiritual awakening where the universe slams you in the side of the head and says, okay, you're waking up now. Right.
That kind of happened too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I did have the thought, well, I should have been doing this stuff way then. Like I've wasted all this time not getting into, hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming and, healing, all the healing stuff. And then I
Hmm.
went, oh, stop. This is another story you're creating. It
Exactly.
happened when it happened because that's when it was meant to happen.
Yeah. You wouldn't have been ready earlier.
I mean, plus, as you say, you're in that stage of life where now you're married and you're having kids and you're raising your kids.
Mhm.
Quite honestly, you're kind of in survival mode a lot those
Kind of,
years.
yeah. Yeah,
You're
it's a
doing
lot.
what you have to do to just keep your head above
Yeah.
water kind of thing. That's what happens to especially women is we put ourselves kind of on hold
Mhm.
during those years.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We definitely do.
And the kids come first. Raising the kids comes first.
Yeah, and it can be hard to get out of that. I work with a lot of clients who are still in that mode, even though their kids are grown. It's like, how do I get out of this give, 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 and start focusing on me? Because I don't know how to do it. Because again, it's that programming.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it needs to be done because we are our most important person in our life.
I work with a lot of women who get to that place where they have the midlife realization. I mean, it can
Mhm.
be triggered by the kids moving
Lots of
out,
things.
going off to college. It
Yeah.
could be the moment you realize you now need reading glasses. It could be like for myself, it was my birthday. It could
Yeah.
be something happens in the marriage that triggers it. There's all different kinds of triggers. But I work with a lot of women, like as you were just mentioning,
Yeah.
who are still stuck as being Johnny and Sarah's mom
Mhm.
and not being themselves. So
Yeah.
their identity is as mom, and now the kids are off on their own, and they're like, "Well, who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I now that you know, I'm still Johnny and Sarah's mom, but they don't need so much anymore. They're off on their
Mhm.
own. And
Mhm.
who am I? And what lights my soul on fire?"
Yeah. And isn't that a beautiful time of life when all of a sudden it's like it can be very scary, but it's very beautiful too because you have all these opportunities to take on something amazing that feels good for you. So it's just getting yourself over that little hump and getting you going on it. That's the thing, right?
It's all in your perspective,
It
100%.
is.
You can look at this as, which a lot of women sink into this. I got a
Mhm.
message one time from a mom, and she was just torn apart because her kids were now both on their own. And
Mhm.
she's like, "My purpose is over." I'm like,
Ah! That was one slice of
"What?"
your life. Yeah.
Yeah. And she felt she had no value any longer.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was her perspective. I'm nobody now. Nobody needs me. I have no value. She was stuck in that story, that limiting story. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, what if you embrace this new chapter in your life
Right?
and move on to what your next purpose is? Figure out what lights your soul on fire and pursue it. So she
Mhm.
was keeping herself limited, keeping herself in this mind jail with her perspective.
Yes. Yeah. So for someone who might be stuck, who might be listening and thinking, "Ah, you're describing me," what would your piece of advice be for that person to give them a little kick in the pants? What would you say would be a good exercise or tip or something to think about that might move them along or open them up?
I would start paying attention to what you think and say to yourself, first of
Okay,
all.
that's a good idea.
Because if
Mhm.
you're slipping into the "oh, poor me"
Mhm.
and like hanging out in your own pity party, you
Mhm.
need to recognize that and then go, "Wait a minute. We're not going down that path of thinking and becoming depressed for the rest of our days."
Exactly.
No. So you want to have a conversation with yourself when it pops up.
Mhm.
And then you can sit down and think about what used to light your soul on fire before you
Exactly.
became the full-time mom and, you know,
Yeah.
looking after a house and cooking and cleaning and driving everywhere. What lit your soul on fire when you were a kid, when you were a teenager? What were
Mhm.
your big dreams when you back when you were 16 and I'm going to do this, I'm going to become a fashion designer or whatever. So going back to who you used to be and what lit your soul on fire then,
Exactly.
and thinking about maybe I should go for that thing that I
Yeah.
didn't do because I fell in love and got
Right.
married and had kids. Maybe now is the time I'm meant to pursue that dream that I had back then when I was 16.
Mhm.
And then if you don't find you had one, or it's just completely impractical, like, I don't know, becoming an astronaut or something
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
sit down and ask yourself what you care about now. If you're going to go on YouTube, what are you searching up to learn about? What are
Yeah.
you interested
Yeah.
in? And if
Yeah.
you still can't find anything, start exploring, start
Exactly.
doing stuff, getting out into the world, meeting
Mhm.
people, going to different meetups, exposing yourself to different things to find out what you're most passionate about. I mean, it
Yeah.
kind of reminds me in high school. I
Mhm.
don't know what they should be doing in high school is giving kids exposure to different kinds of
Yeah.
career paths.
Yeah.
They should be teaching about entrepreneurship, that should be in there, obviously.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
really, you're being exposed to different, computer class, maybe I should become a computer programmer, music class, maybe I should become a musician. So you're being exposed to different things.
Right.
And you can do that when you're midlife,
Yeah.
expose yourself to different things to find out what you're passionate about. Because you may find, oh my God, I'm super passionate about this one particular thing, and I had no idea because I'd never really explored it before.
Right. And there's another
S-
piece to that too. So if you feel like something's impractical, like I wanted to be an astronaut or something, I want to be a movie star, what is it what is a piece of that that you could explore that might take you down another road? So maybe an astronomy class, right? Something or studying
Ooh,
the stars or movie star, maybe you want to go join a drama class, right? And so it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't I think what we do with our dreams is we when we're kids, we dream big, which is great. And those big dreams scare the crap out of us when we're adults. It's like, oh, that's too impractical. There's a whole bunch of negative programming going
mhm.
on. So it's like, how can we connect to that in a smaller way that will see if it still brings us joy, right? So that's a
The
way to do
beautiful,
it too.
yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Mhm.
And when we're kids, we're curious and playful,
Yes.
and then we can become adults, and we
We get
lose that
serious.
curiosity and playfulness.
Yes.
If I always teach my clients and everyone to approach everything from a place of curiosity and playfulness.
Mhm.
We adults take ourselves way too seriously and
We
become
sure do.
way too intense.
Yeah, and that's part of the 3D world that we're raising our kids in that I call it the hamster wheel, where we're going around that hamster wheel every day. And the only thing we're really focused on is responsibility and making money and surviving, right? So it's letting some of that go. And again, like you just said so beautifully, curiosity is a really great way to do that, right? Get curious about something and if you can't play, I always say, just do a little dance, turn some music on and dance. That gets the playfulness going, right? Have a little dance going. It just lightens things up a little bit.
100%.
Yeah, so I love that.
100%.
I love that you're doing that. That's great. So what is
You,
your message then? So what is your inspirational message for the world? What is it that Erin stands for in yourself, in your business, in how you're taking yourself out in the world? What is that?
I if I could help everyone to understand, or if every person embraced this perspective, it would create a
Mhm.
very different reality for yourself. And that is the fact that you are the creator of your reality,
Mhm. Yeah, it's a great
taking
message.
responsibility for your reality. I mean, I can't remember whose quote this is, but it's beautiful. You can be, do, and have anything you want. First, you must become the person for whom that can happen for.
Oh, I love that.
Right. So,
That's
I mean,
right.
if you're stuck in a place where when you're stuck in your story and your
Mhm.
story is negative, then what kind of reality are you creating?
Mhm.
If you
Pretty
wake up
negative one.
every morning thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, blah, 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 blah. That's the tone you're setting for the day. That's how you're going to show up for the day. And that's how you're going to show up every single day in your life because you're running that program.
Mhm.
So embracing the fact that you create your own reality and then deciding that you're going to make your reality really, really awesome and doing the things you need to do for yourself to be able to create that awesome reality. And it starts with your mindset.
Okay. So let's talk about mindset then, because if that's if that's the foundation, there's the negative mindset and the positive mindset. So how do you help people bridge between the two? Because for someone who might be depressed or sitting in trauma or whatever that is, sometimes we hear people say, well, just make a choice to be happy. They don't know how to make a choice to be happy. And I find that a
No.
little difficult. Because they're not actually choosing to be in the dark place. They just don't have a road out.
Mhm.
So, what would you say would be a really good way to start that process for somebody?
You have to get to the root cause of what caused the
Mm-hmm.
depression, anxiety, whatever it may be, your nervous system being in overdrive. So I consider myself a root cause healer. Getting back
Okay.
to the root cause so you can
Mhm.
deal with the event or events and release the negative emotions that that
Right.
event has caused and wipe out all the negative emotions all the way down through your timeline,
Mhm.
right? So what you're doing is you're removing the things that limit you from being as happy as you want to be.
Right.
Because you can be, do, and have anything you want, but you got to get rid of the limitations, the program that your mind is running on that is keeping you in that place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll give you a personal example.
Sure.
Oh, this is a whole huge topic right here. But at some point in my life, it always
Mhm.
happens before the age of 5, by the way,
Yeah.
sometimes before the age of 7, but before the age of 5, really. I got it in my head that I was stupid, that I had a
Mhm.
very low intelligence level. It got stuck in my head because we humans are meaning making machines. We cannot help but do it. Something happened that gave me that impression. It became imprinted into my subconscious mind.
Mhm.
Then your reticular activating system kicks in
Mhm.
and you begin to look for evidence that that is true for you.
Right.
You become hypersensitive to any evidence where, okay, so now I'm in math class and I fail the math test. See,
Yeah.
it's because I'm stupid,
Right.
right? Or then I remember the time when I was in grade 7 and we had a grade 4 buddy, and we'd
Mhm.
go out into the hallway and the grade 4 student would read to us. Well, because I had it stuck in my head that I was stupid, I didn't like reading out loud because everyone's going to know I'm stupid, right? Here's my story popping up. So she would read to me, and I sat there as a grade 7 student going, "Oh my God, this girl reads way better than me,
Yeah, the
better
comparison.
than me." She
Mhm.
was way above her reading level. I was probably, average or even possibly below. Who
Right.
cares?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
But again, that stuck. That became such a strong memory for me that, again, I'm stupid. There's more evidence that I'm stupid. Right? So I began to live my life believing that. And what happens when you have a limiting belief about yourself is you show up in your life in a very small way.
Mhm.
That's why it's called a limiting belief.
Yeah.
It limits you.
Yeah, it's that programming that the limited programming, right?
Yeah. So I
Mhm.
played small. I never did anything really big because, well, I'm not smart enough to do something big. I
Right.
won't be successful because I don't have the brains. And then it becomes a self fulfilling prophecy.
It
I
does.
remember I would be in, like, situations and there'd be a conversation going on about whatever topic, and I would, like, zip it. I wouldn't even get involved in the conversation because if I start talking, everyone's gonna know I'm not smart.
Mhm.
So how did that make me appear to other people? Not smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it became a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know? So that's when I started doing the work, and
Mhm.
I started to call myself out on my own story. I used to tell myself I was stupid probably 3, 400 times a day.
Wow, that's a lot. That's
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of times in a day. Yeah,
Lovely program I created for myself, isn't it?
and it's running all the time, so everything that comes in is filtered through this "I'm stupid"
Yes.
filter, right? And so how did you even identify that filter? Was it through hypnosis, or was this just an organic thing that happened to you before you hit 44 and started doing all the
That's
work?
a
Or
really good question.
yeah, so how did you identify that? Because I think people
I
may be
think it
struck.
really Yeah, that's such a great question. I've never really thought about that, but I imagine it's when I realized how our thoughts and what we say to ourselves affect our emotions, feelings, behaviors, the whole bit. So I would begin to catch myself saying it.
Mhm.
I heard, watch what you say to yourself.
Yeah, so it's true. You
So I
gotta be your
started
own
to
best
listen.
friend in your own mind, that's for
Yeah.
sure, and a lot of us are not. Yeah. And so
So I
another
began
way
to listen to that.
a way to look at that too is the theme of what's, if you can create awareness to
Mhm.
just look at what the theme is that's coming up. So your theme was I'm stupid. You're limiting yourself. I'm stopping myself because I'm stupid. And just ask yourself, is that true?
That's
Is
exactly
that
what I
true?
did.
Is it true?
I
Well,
Yeah,
it can't be true because look at where I am and look at all I've done. So that's the point where you can start creating that awareness trigger through the reticular activating system that will bring you all those times when you're telling yourself, I'm stupid, and you can correct yourself,
yeah.
right?
Self-correction, recognizing when you're saying that to yourself, asking yourself if it's even true, recognizing that it's your BS program that you've been
Yeah.
running on, self-correct it. Now,
Mhm.
self-correcting doesn't mean I'm gonna go, "No, I'm not stupid. I'm the smartest person on the planet," because your
Yeah.
unconscious mind is not really gonna believe that because it's, like, just too much.
Yeah.
So I changed that with, "I'm plenty smart enough.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
still alive, for heaven's sakes. I've
yeah.
kept
Look how
myself
far I've
alive."
made it.
So what
Stupid
you
people
can
don't
then
make it this
do,
far.
yeah, totally.
So
And
it's
you can
turning that
start to
around.
look for evidence
Yeah.
that your new story is the truth.
Right. And so your news story was, I'm smart enough. Look at where I am.
Smart
So
enough.
that's exactly looking for the evidence. So it's almost like I call it bridging in my book, where we're bridging from a negative to a positive. So it's recognizing the awareness and then telling yourself something that your unconscious mind will believe. Like you're not going to say I'm a millionaire because it's too much of a gap. But yeah, I'm smart enough. Look at where I am. Wow. Look at how much I've created in my life. I am smart enough. I'm smart enough. And then before you know it, that's what you're seeing.
Yep. And I'm getting smarter because I keep learning new things and evolving
Exactly.
and I'm acquiring, life experience. So I'm becoming wiser.
Yeah. Could you imagine what your life would be like, Erin, if you didn't do that work? You would not be sitting here, this
No,
super accomplished woman doing all these things out in the world. So good for you. Good for
you.
you.
I
So
appreciate
it's,
that. I'd probably be unhappy.
yeah, exactly. And that's another key, isn't it? When you feel yourself unhappy, for me, I think of it as when you're unhappy, you're disconnected from your soul. When you're unhappy, when you're depressed, you are just not connected to who you're meant to be. And that's the feeling. So when you can make yourself happy, you're reconnecting yourself, right? So it's another just another way
100%.
of recognizing I got to do something here.
I mean,
That's
too often, and I did it my entire life. I basically thought that it was other people's job to make me happy. It's
yeah.
my husband's job to make me happy. Why am I unhappy? Because he's not making me happy. It's his fault.
Yeah. It's because of
It's
him.
things he's doing or not doing. So once I took responsibility for my own happiness,
Yeah. And that's moving from victimness into self power, right? Because you take your power when you let go of the victim stuff. And it means the victim thing is I have no control of what's happening to me. And you have every single bit of control just by saying no or putting a boundary in place, right? So you are the controller of your life. Nobody else is. So if you're being bounced around, have a look at that. Am I in a victim mentality where everything's happening to me, right?
yeah, it's a completely different perspective. I'm just going along for the ride. Life is happening to me, and now I'm just reacting to things, and I have no control over what's happening, as opposed to, so here's what I do. Whenever something happens, good, bad, neutral, whatever, I will stop and go, playfulness and curiosity, right?
Ah.
So let's just say I'm so much more relaxed as a person now. So when I was coming back from Dallas 2 weeks ago, my flight was delayed by 6.5 hours.
Ooh,
I
that's
was
a
in
long
the
time.
Seattle airport. The old me would have freaked out.
Mm,
The old me would have tried to rip someone's head off. I would have
right.
gone into reaction mode. The new me goes, it's interesting. Why did I co-create this to happen?
Yeah. And what can I do with this time?
Yes, 100%. So it
Mhm.
just rolls off me instead of getting all upset. And 6.5 hours, I will go and sit and have a nice glass of wine, and I'll probably meet some really cool people because that's
Yeah.
what always happens to me now that I'm in this
Yeah.
mindset. I met
Yeah.
the most amazing people, like 5 different people.
Nice.
And oh, I'll use this time to exercise. I walk. When I'm in an airport with my
Mm.
bag, I walk.
Mhm.
So I meet people, I walk, and I get some work done. Oh, poor me. Oh, poor me.
It's a gift. You got a gift. Yeah.
I just want to share one other story
Sure. Oh,
because
please.
this is okay. So about six, whatever it was, 6, 7 years ago, I needed to have a hernia surgery,
Okay.
right?
That's a
So I
big
go to
one.
the hospital, and I've never been put out before. Never had surgery. I've never even broken a bone. I've had babies.
Yeah.
So I was nervous. I was in fight, flight, or freeze. I was starting to panic. I thought I might go into a panic attack, all that kind of thing. And then I had a conversation with myself.
Mhm.
Wait a minute, girlfriend. Don't you talk about how life is having all different kinds of experiences for your own personal evolution? This is a new experience. You're going to be put out for the first time and have surgery for the first time. Okay,
Mm.
well, actually, so I changed my mindset. I looked at it differently,
Right.
and I had the coolest adventure with that surgery. I'm not even kidding. I made it fun. It was the coolest
Okay,
experience. Like
so how do
doing
you make a hernia surgery fun? I would really like to understand that. How do you make a hernia surgery fun?
I connected on a really deep level with the nurses.
Oh, okay. So it's about
Yep, so
connection.
had a great time there. And then
Yep.
they put me on the gurney and wheeled me in and all of this. And the anesthesiologist was really, really hot. And I remember the
So that was fun.
conversation because we're totally chatting the whole bit, right? And then he went to put me out and he's like, he goes to put the mask over my face. And he's like, well, I hope you figured out what you want to dream about because you're going out. And he started to count down. I'm like, wait, I don't know what I want to dream of yet. And then
Boom.
the next thing I know, I'm waking up in recovery room
Yeah.
and I hear this voice beside me go, well, it's about damn time you woke up. I've been waiting for you to wake up for like 2 hours. And I
Wow.
look over and there's this guy with his leg in a cast and hanging in the air kind of thing. He was waiting for me to wake up because he just wanted to talk to somebody.
He was bored and needed somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
So you
So
met another
stood
neat
there.
person.
Yeah. So we laid there and chatted and had great conversation for I don't know how long. Plus they gave me some, happy drugs for the pain and all of that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
that's good. Yeah,
And
they
then I
take care of
waited and
you.
my ex-husband picked me up and
Perfect.
I got to spend 24 hours with my kids because they live with him. So I stayed there because you're not supposed to be on your own
Right.
after having surgery and all of that. So I went and hung out there for 24 hours. It was a fun experience
Well, very
because I
good.
made it fun.
Yeah, because you went into it with that playful, curious, which I love, and recognizing that you're going to have an experience and how can I make this a beautiful experience,
Yeah. So
right?
I created the reality that I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, and you do that by setting your intention. So you set your intention to be playful and curious. And then do you use reticular activating system questions? So in order to tune that part of your mind to bring you, your unconscious mind to bring you, you can ask those questions like, how will I have a playful and curious and awesome hernia surgery? And then the
Yeah,
unconscious mind brings you those resources. So do you use the reticular activating system questions a lot? I know I use them all the time. It's awesome.
I guess I do.
Yeah,
Now
I
that you're
guess you're
talking
doing it.
about it.
Well,
Yep.
you may not be doing it formally, but you are absolutely creating targets for your unconscious mind. And that's so important, isn't it? So you're the master of creating targets just by the nature of who you are. You're connected, you're friendly, people like talking to you, right? And those are things that you believe about yourself now, that you're friendly, you're connected, and people love talking to me. So that's the new programming that you've created in yourself, just and you're seeing it in spades all around you. So I just love that.
And then that's the energy you're putting out,
Hmm.
right? And this is another reason I end up talking to so many people is because I love connecting. I actually teach rapport building, connection,
Ah,
all these
yeah,
things.
you're very good
Yeah.
at it.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love humans. I love the human mind, the whole bit. I love
awesome.
learning about people.
Yeah.
So that's the energy I'm obviously putting out. So I attract all these people. because they're
Yeah.
picking up on that energy that I'm open to chatting,
Yeah.
right?
Great.
So, I end up being on the airplane and having those amazing conversations. Like the people who end up sitting beside me in airport bars or on the plane are always the most fascinating people because that's a reality I'm creating.
Yeah. That you're surrounded
The
by fascinating people
Yes.
and that
Rather
people
than just
find
stuck
you.
in your book or on your phone and never talking to anyone, and then having the opinion that nobody wants to talk to me, nobody likes me, no one thinks I'm friendly, I'm unlovable, I think they think I'm unworthy, I think they think I'm stupid, there's no good men out there, everybody's become selfish and doesn't communicate.
Change your
It's all
reality.
about, yeah,
Change your perspective and change your reality.
yes.
So one of the things you have to do to change your perspective is to know what you want. And that's where people can get kind of clouded, right? Because I know for both of us working in the work that we do, we often, I know I do, I get people coming and telling me the 15 things they don't want. It's like, okay, well, let's start focusing on what you do want. That's the negative to the positive thing.
Mm.
So how do you help people identify what they want so that they can start building the reality that they want?
You have to know your core values.
Okay.
Your
Can
top
you just talk a
5
little bit
core
about
values.
Can you talk
Pardon
a
me?
little bit about those core values? Or can you
Mhm.
talk a little bit about that? Maybe if you're comfortable sharing what yours are. I have a feeling I've
Oh,
got a few of them. You may have exposed some of those already here today, but I think people might be really interested in understanding what the core values are and maybe if even a way that to start seeing them.
so you want to get clear on what is truly most important to you,
Mhm. Mhm.
what you care most about, and just kind of start to. So here's the thing about your core values. When you're clear in your core values and you set the intention to live your core values, you're going to create that kind of reality that is in alignment with your core values. And here's the deal.
Mhm.
When you're living your core values, you cannot help but have really, really, really high self esteem. If you're not living your core values, you can't have high self esteem. You're going to have very low self esteem because
Mhm.
internally, you know what's most important to you.
And you're living out of alignment with that if you're not doing it.
Yes.
So an example would
S-
be if family's my core value, but I'm working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, I'm never being with my family. So I'm got myself out of alignment with that. Is that right?
100%.
Okay.
And so you're working 18 hours a day. You're making, let's just take somebody who's super wewealthy,
A
for example.
gazillion dollars. Yay.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then you're unfulfilled and unhappy. And people are like,
What's wrong with
You've
you?
got 2 Ferraris, you've got a boat, you've got a mansion and a beach house in Florida. What the heck is wrong with you? Well,
Yeah.
they're living out of alignment with what their core values are.
Right.
So you have to know your core values. So you can
Mhm.
just sit down and ask yourself, what do I care most about? Start there.
Yeah.
And then watching in your life where this is one thing too to pay attention to. I'm just having this realization right now.
Okay. In the moment.
How often how often in your life are you saying yes to things you don't wanna do,
Exactly.
that you don't even care about, but you do them because 'cause you're a people pleaser, and you learn to do that
Mhm.
when you're a kid so that you're accepted by your parents and your tribe and not get kicked out because your survival depends on it.
Right.
So you get into a pattern of pleasing everyone because the need to be liked and
Mm.
accepted, that's a survival mechanism.
Right.
So before the age of 7, more before the age of 5, we will adapt to what we think our parents want us to be because our
Mhm.
survival depends on it. Then we
Exactly.
create that program that we run on for the rest of our lives. So many people are people pleasers for the love and acceptance, and then they end up doing things they don't want to do just so that they're liked,
Yeah.
right? And then they're
Don't
unhappy
want to
because
rock
it
the
goes,
boat.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So really, one of the ways to evolve as a human being is learning to say no to people and actually following what makes you happy. Now, some
That can
people are
be
going to go,
really
that's
hard.
selfish.
Yeah.
No, if you're responsible for your own happiness and your own fulfillment, you have to
Mhm.
think of yourself. I'm not saying if you have little kids, you drop them at the side of the curb and go and,
No.
I don't know, travel to Greece. Not what I'm saying.
Good. No.
No, no, no. You got responsibilities,
Mhm.
especially when your kids are young.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about when you're in that stage of life and your kids are off on their own and they're independent. This is kind of your time to really kind of focus on yourself.
Mhm.
And you deserve that. If we're here to evolve as human beings, which I believe we are, then you do have to think of yourself. In order to allow yourself the space and opportunity to evolve, you have to think about yourself. You can't just be 100% focused on. Do you know anyone who focuses 100% of their energy and attention on other people and are happy?
No, definitely not. And even when it's a high percentage focused on other people, they're getting sick, they're unhealthy, they're unhappy, unhealthy, and not really knowing what's wrong because they're so disconnected from themselves and putting so much into everybody else. And so I like to think too, there's selfish and self-focused, and we're all here to have a self-focused experience. Selfish
Oh,
to me is I'm doing something that takes something from you with a little bit of greed behind it. Like, I want what you have. That's a selfish thing. Self-focused is about caring for yourself. And, as souls, we came here to have an experience in a body. We didn't come here to come into a body and then not have the experience. And when you're not focused on yourself and managing your life experience, you're actually giving your life experience away. And that's why you're here to have it. So, getting reconnected back into self-focused through self-care is a really, really important thing. So yeah, so
I actually,
how does that tie into the core values? So let's
so
just
living your, okay, yeah, circle back to that. So
circle
knowing
back
what
to
your
the core
core
values.
values are and then living them,
Right. Okay.
right?
So
So, for example, my core values are peace,
okay.
right? I don't allow unnecessary drama into my world because then it's ruins my
Yeah,
frequency, my vibration,
yeah, it's chaotic.
right?
Love
So
that.
peace,
Mhm.
freedom,
Yeah.
which is not financial freedom, that is freedom of the mind,
Yeah, and freedom to
but
choose.
also feeling free to be able to, if I want to go for a hike right now, I want to be able to go for a hike. I do have responsibilities, so I may have
Yeah.
to go later on today,
Mhm. Mhm.
but freedom to live the way I want to live, freedom to be the way I'm meant to be. Again, not being selfish so that it affects other people. Um, and another of my core values is connection,
Yeah, I can see that.
connecting to our fellow human beings.
Mhm.
And that's also an undeniable human need as well,
Yeah.
connecting with other
Yeah.
people. Because if you're not connecting with yourself and able to connect with other people, well, A, you're missing out on
Mhm.
your own personal evolution. Um, but we take energy from other people. I consider it our responsibility to be living our core values
Mhm.
because the energy we emit to the world is being picked up by other people.
Yeah. It's not
So if
discordant.
I'm not doing my job and I'm, in victim mode and I'm putting out this really unpleasant energy, now I'm affecting you.
Yeah.
And that's not fair of me.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now, I just want to come back to connection because there are people who really don't like people, and I get that. So I think connection can be with people, it could be with animals, or it can be with nature. So it's connecting to something that gives you that ability to grow your energy and feel positive. It's not always, most of us, it's people, but there are some people here on this earth who just are not people, and that's okay. They'll be connecting to something else, nature, animals, something, right?
I would also ask the person who says, I do not like people.
Hmm.
Why is that?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you not like people? Because I often think they're
There's
somewhat
probably
in
trauma in
denial.
there somewhere.
Me, exactly. There's
Yeah, there
something
could be.
from their past that caused them to not want to be around people. There's a reason for that. Not trust them. So there's trauma there. So for a person like, because I teach, connection, prospecting, how to build an online business, blah, blah, blah. So when somebody goes, I don't want to talk to people, I don't like people.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have a very hard time building your business if you don't
Yes,
want
you
to
have to
talk to
get to
people.
some layer of it. I get it.
Yep.
Yeah, I get
So
that.
what's
If
your
you want to
story
be out in the
there?
world, if you
Totally.
want, yeah, if you want to be out in the world, you're going to have to figure that connection out because it's people who are making the world go round, right?
Yep.
So I get that.
And nothing says you have to be around people 24/7.
Exactly.
I talk to people, all day long in my business, but I
Hmm.
also spend a lot of time on my own out in the woods,
Mm.
hiking,
Okay.
walking, hugging a few
Your
trees.
your replenishment, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, nature's a great replenisher for energy. It's lovely.
Grounding, earthing, and that's all about connection, as you were just saying.
Yeah.
That's about
Yeah.
connection as well.
Hmm. So I would say another one of your core values is playfulness. Or it's one of your
Definitely.
values, maybe not a core value, the very core, but playfulness and curiosity is one. And I know for me, it's curiosity, connection, freedom, and love is part of my core values. I'm sure there's more in there, but that's the work that I've done to identify and making sure that you, like you said, you're living from that will help you bring you into more alignment.
Mhm.
You'll start to create that reality that you want, right? So you can start seeing the things that you want in your life. I think that's really, really important. Can I ask a question just about because you work with so many people in so many different ways, wonderful ways, what are you noticing right now in the world? Because there's so much
Mm.
going on in the world. I don't want to digress into too much of that negative stuff, but what are you noticing right now about people? And what do you think is needed and how can they help themselves right now? Because we're in a really unique time on the planet where our frequency is lifting and it's bringing up all this old junk to come up and be let go of, and it's pushing on our programming, and it can be pretty stressful. So, what are you noticing right now?
Yeah, this is an interesting topic. I'm noticing that people are so easily triggered.
Mm,
And here's the beautiful thing about when you're triggered. I believe triggers are you're it's an opportunity for you to understand why you're being triggered by something because
mhm.
that's your stuff coming up.
Yes.
So instead of going into the blame, like, oh, she said this to me and that was so mean. She'd made me feel this way. She hurt my feelings, blah, 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 blah. Instead, come from a place of playfulness and curiosity and go, ah, when she said that, it made me feel this way. Why
Hmm.
is that? Why did that make me feel this way so strongly?
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity for you to release stuff from your past by noticing what triggers you. So I find right now, more so now than ever, maybe it's always been this way and I'm just really noticing it now, but people are so easily triggered, so sensitive, and so stuck in victim mode
Mm-hmm.
that the way I'm feeling is everyone else's fault and everyone should bend to please me and make me feel good.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've
Right?
noticed a lot of stress in the system right now, and I think the sensitivity, I think you're absolutely right. People are on edge and they're more sensitive because frequency is lifting and it's making people more out there.
But
Um,
I also think social media plays a big part of it and the whole
yeah.
cancel culture and all of this kind of stuff. Um,
What do you,
entitlement.
okay, yeah,
Entitlement.
yeah.
People are starting to feel so entitled
Mm,
that you need to do certain things to make me feel a certain way instead of you being able to speak your mind and I'm responsible for how I feel about it. Now, I'm not saying we should go around being mean and totally
mhm.
speaking our mind.
Right.
People are so sensitive now. You know what really bugs me? People are
What?
so sensitive that other people don't speak up and say what they think and feel anymore
Yeah.
because of the backlash, everybody getting, being hypersensitive and offended. So people zip it. They're not even speaking their truth anymore because of the backlash that will come with it.
Yeah, and
And
some of
what
the
this does is it shuts down communication, which
okay.
shuts down connection.
Mhm.
And people are bottling it up. I don't know about you, but a lot of the work I've been doing with people, it's right here.
Mhm.
The throat chakra is it's blocked because
Okay.
people aren't speaking their truth. They're not
Mm.
speaking up. They're not speaking their mind.
Yeah, well, I do definitely agree with that on social media because if you put something out there, you could have like the piranhas coming in for the feed, right? So to put stuff out there is like, what's the point?
And then when that does happen, it triggers your baggage. So
Yeah.
let's just take me for example. I put something out there.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh no, you're wrong." Blah 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 blah. Well, where does my brain go? It will
Mhm.
momentarily, still, but not for long, go back to the, "Oh right, I'm stupid."
Ah, right. But you pull yourself out of that pretty quick.
Within seconds. But if
Yeah.
you haven't done the work and you still have that baggage, you're always being triggered, which means you're
Mhm.
living your life in fight, flight, or freeze,
Right.
which means you're going to have IBS, which means you're going to have headaches, you're going to have skin issues, you're going to have,
Mhm.
all kinds of health issues because you're living in fight, flight, or freeze mode.
Right. And there's a lot of anger out there too. Like that's to me that's kind of combined with the entitlement. I see a lot of anger people and wanting to be right. I need to be right.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's what I'm seeing just out in the general and a lot of just people are stressed. You can see it. You go to the grocery store, you can see it on their faces when you really look at people. They're all looking stressed. Mind you, the grocery store can be a stressful place right now with the price of food in Canada.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but regardless, that's the stress levels that are rising, right? So, what tips or tools would you offer for that? For the entitlement, I don't know if there is a tip or tool for entitlement because that requires a little bit of awareness on the person's side. But let's say you come up against somebody who comes across as entitled. What are you doing for me? What's a way that you would coach somebody through that or help a tool or something that someone can use to help keep that away?
Playfulness and curiosity.
I love it. Okay.
When someone is projecting
Yeah.
their stuff onto you, you want to remember that all humans are projecting their stuff onto other people all
Yeah.
the time.
Keep your projector to yourself.
So just recognizing that and then coming from a place of playfulness and curiosity.
Mhm.
So let's say somebody freaks out at you for some reason. The old me would have freaked out back. I would have gone into
Yeah.
reaction mode instantly and freaked out back. Now we're having an argument. It turns to fisticuffs, whatever. No, I'm
I
not a
can't
fighter,
imagine.
but you see
I
this
know what you
happen,
mean.
right? People start
Yeah.
fighting. So when something is said to me,
Mhm.
instead of going into that reaction mode, I go to the made her say that.
Yeah.
Made her say that. Oh, that's her own stuff. And especially when you know someone's childhood, you go, oh,
Yeah.
that's because her mom did this and she grew up thinking this and that's her program. So now
Mhm.
you're no longer offended and taking it personally because you're recognizing that's their program, that's their stuff that they're projecting.
Right.
And how do you be offended when you realize this person just said this thing to you because their mom used to say it to them all through their childhood?
Mhm.
And you begin to realize that when people react, it almost never has anything to do with you.
Yeah, that's a
It's their
really,
stuff.
really good point. Yeah.
It's their stuff coming up. So what I do is I will also, let's say there's an interaction like that. I will be playful and curious.
Mhm.
What made them say that? But I'm not going to put all the responsibility on them. I will look at my own behavior and go, did I play a role in causing this miscommunication? Because we're all responsible for
Right.
our own communication, right? And I'll like, oh, could I have explained myself better? Did I miss giving information? Did I word it incorrectly? I will look for my part in it
Mhm.
because that's going to help me become a better communicator and help my
Mhm.
personal evolution. But
Yeah.
then I will also have a look at, kind of their part that they were projecting, blah, 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 kind of thing. And then you don't take things personally and you're
Yeah.
not triggered by it. And you're actually growing and evolving because of it.
Yeah.
And the whole situation is diffused. And
Yeah.
you don't get into it with the person. And also asking the person questions like, are you okay today?
Yeah. That's a
Let's
good
say you're
one.
at the grocery store and some Karen is freaking out on you about something. I don't know, you took the last banana, whatever.
Hmm.
Go into the connection part. Are you okay today?
Yeah.
Is everything all right with you? Because it's just a banana.
Yeah.
And then that causes them to think about, their own behavior. And if
Mhm.
they're not able to because they're in fight, flight, or freeze,
There's
walk away.
yeah, there's nothing you can do. Just walk away. You're right.
And when you're in the healing profession,
Hmm.
especially in the beginning, you feel like it's your responsibility to go and heal everyone. You can't.
No, no, that's
You
a
can't.
big thing to put on your own shoulders. You're right that you don't want to
Yeah.
do that. It's not your
And
job.
you're really not
Been invited.
responsible. Yeah.
Yeah, you haven't been invited, is how I look at it. I haven't been invited to help them, so I'm not.
Yeah.
Even if I have 15 different ways I can help them, if I haven't been invited, I don't say a thing.
That was a lesson I had to learn
Yeah, we all do
because I
as
found
humans.
myself coaching everyone
Yeah, people hate that.
and I actually ruined a couple of relationships,
Oh no.
somewhat
Hmm.
strained some relationships by doing that. So
Yeah,
that was a lesson I had to learn. So when I had the interaction, I looked at my behavior and went, okay, I'm coaching when I wasn't asked to.
right. It's
We
always
can't
best
do
to
this.
practice on your kids. Your children are your best places to practice these things, especially teenagers. Yeah. So I love that advice. So just ask them if they're okay, if you feel like if you're able to do that level of connection and walk away, So recognize it's not your stuff. What
Yep,
part of this is mine? Try to
exactly.
connect and then walk away if it's nothing. And I think you got to realize too that I loved what you said about it's all their stuff coming up. It makes it a lot easier when you're having a conversation with somebody and they go to the freak out place for you to stay calm and recognize that this isn't my stuff. This is
Yep,
their stuff. And that it
it's
really
theirs.
lets you off the hook for trying to fix it. It makes it a
It totally
completely
does.
different experience because you don't have to do anything. It's just let them be. They're
Yep.
not asking you for anything or they're itching for a fight. You don't have to fight, you
And
know?
what if they're
Hmm.
meant to work on themselves? That's
Yeah.
their path.
Yeah.
Right? So paying attention to our own triggers is huge. It's an
It is.
opportunity to explore that and heal it and all
Yeah.
of that. And if you jump in and try to help everyone all the time, are we robbing them of the opportunity to have their own realizations?
That's right. Exactly. Because we are
Again,
all
lets you off the
on
hook for
journeys.
trying to fix everyone.
Yeah, it's that self-focused thing again. So I'm here on my journey, you're here on your beautiful journey, and everybody else is on theirs. And it's not my job to mess with theirs
Yeah.
unless they
And
want me
I'm not,
to,
yeah.
unless they invite
And
me
I'm not
to.
going to let Karen's freak out energy, negative energy, bring me down. Don't
Yeah,
mess with my vibe.
yeah, that's right. So it's important that we hold ourselves in a higher vibration and keep ourselves there because that's what helps the world. The more people that
100%.
stay in their higher vibration, the better we're helping the world to move up, right? And the other thing I want to say too is with the people out in the world, sometimes we as healers or people who've done a lot of work on themselves, we have a lot of light. We have a lot of light in us and we shine a lot of light. And not everybody who sits in darkness finds that light comfortable. And so they may move away from you or they may try to not even not attack you, but they may try to undermine you because your light is uncomfortable. So just keep shining your light. I think that's the most important thing because you'll find the people out there that appreciate the light that you're shining and want to be around that light because it feels good for them, right? So just recognize that. So, Erin, we're coming to the end of the podcast here. So, just a couple of questions at the end here. So, is there any inspirational resources that you recommend?
Oh, um, oh my gosh, there's so much out there.
Even if it's something just on core values or mindset, is there something that you would recommend on core values or mindset? Because I think those are two really good places for people to start. To get focused on what you want, you got to know your core values. And then the mindset, when you know your core values, you can then shift into a more positive mindset for yourself.
I would definitely start with core values. I don't really have a specific resource to guide
Right.
you
Okay.
to. You could probably even just
Somewhere on
Google
the
it,
internet.
how to uncover your core values. Knowing what your core
Okay.
values are, they may surprise you, and it may
Probably
explain
will.
why certain things are happening in your life or not happening. So, for example, if I'm working with an entrepreneur and we do a values elicitation
Mhm.
and money is nowhere in there, they put money in like 35th in their list. Well, guess what? Now we know why they're not making any because it's not actually a value for them.
Right. Oh, that's a really good point. That's a really
Uh-huh.
good point. Yeah, the other thing too is we kind of get caught up in the list. And I know I did this when I was doing strength finders, which is very similar to values. It's what your internal strengths are. And I got my list of my top 10 strengths and I looked at it and went, no, I don't like these. I don't want that one. I want this one. How come I didn't get that one in there? And it's like over time, though, I learned that, wow, that really is my strength. I didn't recognize that. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize it. So if you do your core values and you don't like them or you think that's wrong, just sit with it for a bit and watch how it truly is a part of you. You just haven't seen it or noticed it yet. So core values is great. Anything on mindset, or is it just a look on YouTube, look on Google kind of thing?
Um, I think I really started to I'll give you like the name of Dr. Joe Dispenza. That's
Oh,
very
he's awesome, isn't he?
yeah, that really, really started me on my path. I've done all his levels of in-person workshops.
Awesome.
We used to speak at the same event. Super nice guy,
Yeah, he seems really
super
lovely.
nice guy. But that really kind of kicked me into there's really something to this, having
Yes.
control over your mind,
Yeah. Okay, so I will
mastering your
sorry, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off
Mhm.
there, Erin. I will put his web links into the show notes. Okay, so for folks who are listening and you want more on Joe Dispenza, he's lovely and he keeps coming up in my life in many different ways, which is great. Just proving that it's the right person to check in with right now.
I
And
do
so
have an
what's the,
ebook too that people might find
okay.
value in.
Okay, I was just going to ask you what the best way people can connect with you with. Is it your website? So if you want to just let your website, you just want to tell us what your website is, and then I think your ebook's on the website, right? Is your ebook
Yes,
on
it
the
is. Yes, it
awesome?
is. I'm actually revamping my website. So,
Okay.
website is erinbirchcoaching.com.
Okay. ErinBirchCoaching.com. Awesome. All
And
right.
then
Put that
Facebook
on.
too. I'm really active just on my profile on
Okay.
Facebook.
All right.
Really active.
Okay. And so just look up Erin Birch on Facebook. Okay, and we'll put the links to you, your Instagram, Facebook, and your website into the show notes so that people can access you right away.
That's
Yeah,
great.
so you've got if people want to go out and look at what you do, understand a little bit more about what you do. You've got some blog stuff out there. You're podcasting too, so there's lots of resources out there around Erin and the wonderful work she does, and a free book that you can download, an ebook. So that's great. All right. So I just want to give a huge thanks to you, Erin, for coming on today and helping us understand some of that self-healing. I loved the conversation we had around mindset and how this really just fits in with the bigger picture. And, together we covered a lot of amazing things, a little bit on hypnosis, the unconscious mind, mindset, programming, intentions, perspective, core values. And what was the other one? Core values
Connection.
and sorry, which?
Connection.
Connection, yes. And never forget playful and curious. So those are the sort of two really big things that I take away is remember to be playful, remember to keep being curious. That's what's going to lead you into this place of feeling really, really good. So I want to thank you for all of that. And I want to thank our listeners for listening. So if you enjoyed the podcast, just share it with someone that you care about. And if you're listening to the podcast on the YouTube channel, again, just like and subscribe so you're notified of all of the new ones and all of the other content that I'm putting out there. And if you want to work with me, if you want to work on your personal journey to self-love and bliss, you can check out my book, Radical Self-Love: Live a Vibrant Life Beyond Fear and Limitation, on Amazon and in Audible format. And to find out more about me and what I offer in support of my higher calling to ignite the light in others and the world, you can find me at elementalbalance.ca or nikihughes.com. So thanks again so much for listening, and we'll chat again next month.